Good morning. Please welcome the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra's Orch Kids program. Orch Kids is a year-round, during and after-school music program designed to nurture the promising futures for youth in Baltimore City neighborhoods. Under the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra's music director and Orch Kids founding director, Marion Alsop's artistic leadership and direction, Orch Kids is the cornerstone of the BSO's community engagement efforts. Founded in 2008 with 30 students at one elementary school, Orch Kids now serves over 1,300 students in grades pre-K through 11 in 7 schools across Baltimore City.
Prechtel, and I am a percussionist in the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, and I'm the bucket band director for Orch Kids. We're going to start with a little piece we call Keep Up. This program is going to be some audience participation involved, and it's very simple for you guys on this one. All you're going to do is say, keep up, whenever I point at you. You think you guys can do that? Let's hear it. Keep up.
Keep up.
You can do better than that. Keep up.
Keep up.
All right, here we go. Orch Kids. Ready, position. 1, 2, 3, and.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Well, y'all might as well keep standing, all right? So, this next piece actually has 2 sections. It's called Fire, all right? Now, this is from a group, they brass band group, New Orleans style, right? You might as well keep standing, I'm telling you. You're going to want to stand up, all right? So, we want you guys to sing with us. Is that okay? We're not worried about intonation. That's their job, all right? Can we get that bass line, please? 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and here's your part. After me. We've got that fire, we've got that fire. Sing it.
We got that fire, we got that fire.
Little bit more.
We got that fire,
Thank you. Here's the second part. We went back and we remixed it a little bit and made it our own. Let's hear our bass line. Hey, hey, hey. Somebody said, oh, yeah, that's right. All right. So, now, we've got that fire, 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 fire. Your turn. One more time. Are they ready? Okay.
Please welcome Erin Souza Resendiz, the Director of Communications for Mentor.
Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that.
I guess we won't be needing our coffee this morning. We are feeling energized and uplifted. Thank you, Orch Kids. And so you heard that Orch Kids serves about 1,300 students in the Baltimore area, and we're so thrilled that we get to have two of them here with us this morning to tell us a little bit about themselves and their favorite parts about the program. I'll hand it to you, Asia.
Hi, my name is Aja Palmer. I'm 16. I'm a junior at the Baltimore School for the Arts. I've been in the Orch Kids program for 10 years, and I study flute and percussion.
My name is Brandon Majette. I'm in the 6th grade. I go to Gilman School for Boys, and I've been in the program for six years.
And Brendan, tell us your favorite part about the Orch Kids program and what it means to you.
My favorite part about Orch Kids is that we get to show the little kids like that they can travel like us and the traveling. Like we get to go to places like Michigan, here, Connecticut, places like that. And we can show them that they can have fun without getting in trouble. And it's something that can actually happen through music.
Awesome. And Asia, tell us about your experience with Orch Kids and what you love the most about it.
My favorite part about Orch Kids is mentoring. I mentor students through discipline and instrumental instruction. I enjoy it because I like having younger students look up to me. And you know, it's not always about, disciplining like all the time because that's what teachers are for. Like some, but like some of them come to me like, oh, I don't know this scale. My teacher's gonna ask me, can you help me? Like, they come to me stuff like that. Like having a friend, it's not always about like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Like, yeah, having fun, keeping them in line too, so yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you so much to both of you. Now I get the pleasure of introducing our two next guests, Carrie Sullivan and Mark Muriel. Good morning to both of you. So we're thrilled. We have Carrie Sullivan, who is president of the Bank America Foundation and also a member of the Mentor Board of Directors. So we get her as a friend and partner. And Mark Muriel, who is president and CEO of the National Urban League and former mayor of New Orleans, to have a discussion with us today about their partnership and their partnership with us at Mentor. So I just want to talk a little bit about how your partnership has led to improving communities and how you work with mentoring in that process. Just looked for Carrie to tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, first of all, Erin, it's great to be here, and it's inspiring to see so many of you engaged in mentoring. It's incredible. And it's really an honor to be on the stage with Mark Muriel. And I have to say the Urban League is a very important partner of the bank in many ways. Philanthropically, we fund many of their programs, and quite frankly, Mark serves on our National Community Advising Council, which really informs us about social justice issues and what we can better address in terms of reaching populations that need the most attention and help in terms of economic mobility. The bank's purpose is really about improving people's financial lives, and from the foundation's perspective, we're focused on economic mobility. And that quickly gets to helping those who are either in need of more training or guidance to get employment, really helping people get on that economic ladder. So we do a lot of work, and this is where a lot of our connections are with young people in school, trying to keep them on track, helping them get that first job, but more importantly, helping those with barriers, whether it be opportunity youth or young adults that need an alternative pathway. And more recently, we've done a lot of work around those that have extreme barriers, whether that be second chance or those who have lived in persistent poverty and never had the opportunity. So we look at sustainable employment, and the connection to mentoring is a really important part of our strategy in working with the Urban League.
Thank you. First of all, good morning. Who says, let's bring the band back up? Let's give them a hand. They did a great job, huh? I was about to come out here and start doing a second line. But it's great to be here, and I want to thank Mentor, and certainly compliment all of the mentors and leaders of mentoring organizations, and give a shout to my Urban League colleagues who are here in the audience, and certainly also join in thanking Bank of America for its long-standing commitment, not only to the Urban League, but to the communities that they serve. We work with both young people who are both elementary, middle, and high schoolers, but we also work with young adults. And mentoring has been a strategy across a number of programs that we run. So Project Ready, which is our sort of signature out-of-school time, after-school program, incorporates a mentoring element in every single thing we do. And what we try to do is leverage our volunteers. Many of them are part of our Young Professionals Auxiliary. We've got 6,500 of them in 66 chapters across the nation. And they are young professionals between the ages of 20 and 40. And we try to leverage them and their participation to become mentors to really those sort of in the K-12, middle and high school cohort. So they serve not only as mentors, but as role models, as encouragers in a very significant way. Then one of the most important challenges, I think, for us, and it's a challenge for communities in the nation, is the work we do with young adults. So we're working with young adults, 18 to 25, 26 years of age, many of them who have not finished high school on a timely basis. They may have dropped out. They may have had an experience with the criminal justice system, and we're working with them to get them back on track. And through the sort of experiences we've had and what we've learned with mentoring of young people, now mentoring is a part of a number of our workforce programs. And by the very same token, it's about giving someone a trusted advisor, a trusted friend, a trusted, if you will, coach, a trusted confidant. All of those are roles that mentors play. And I think that what we're really doing in talking about mentoring is we put a formal term on something that is basically an experience of human nature from the very beginning. And it is this idea that people help people. And it's this idea that an experienced person wants to help young people achieve their dreams and their goals. And that's what it is. And so we've formalized it by calling it mentoring, and we've programmatized it by calling it mentoring. But it is really formalizing something we've always done, mainly in an informal way. And I think the data and the results are very, very clear. I watched the band leader who was just up here, and I said, see, there's an Uber mentor, right? He's mentoring the whole band, and then for a minute, he was mentoring y'all because you all were singing. He got you all singing, and you know what? You all were kind of in tune.
Yeah, it was
The Grammys are
surprising.
Sunday night. Not too late for a nomination.
Thank you, Mark. And there's this clear intersection in your work around economic literacy and the opportunity gap. And I'd love to hear more about how you see that playing out, and what are some of the elements to really breaking the cycle of, you know, poverty that means people have barriers that, you know, they're breaking down systems that they can't face on their own. So talk a little bit about how your partnership seeks to address that, and kind of some of the elements that go into breaking down those barriers.
So I'll jump in. So I think there's a lot in that question, all good. But I would say working with the Urban League and other nonprofit partners across the U.S., we're very focused on helping people get that first job, connect them to a livable wage. But as Mark said, and why we're here, is that everyone needs help. It's the human condition. We all need guidance along the way. And what we've learned is it never stops. So, you know, a lot of our programs are working with partners who are getting people ready to work and really, you know, making sure that they have the skills and soft skills. But when one enters the workplace, regardless of where it is, we need to have coaches and mentors there. But more importantly, we're really working with our managers to be mentors. And that gets to the point where the band leader is a mentor as well as an instructor. And that has made all the difference. And just an example of the success that we've seen, we have one partner, Year Up, which I know, Mark, you know well. And we have worked with them for years, and our conversion from apprentice to full-time jobs was hovering around 25%, until we doubled down on mentoring and really started to develop toolkits for our managers and really made them purposefully focused on, you know, what they need to do to make this young adult come into this workplace, a foreign place to them, and navigate and matriculate and know the culture and get connected. Once we've did that, our conversion rate was over 50. So I think it's clear that, you know, there's a lot of evidence out there, but just from an employer's point of view, our role doesn't stop as mentors. And we take that pretty seriously, working with our partners. That, you know, our volunteers are out there. I think we logged last year, this is over 85,000 hours of mentoring. And that's what people, you know, tell us that what they're doing. And then I would say internally, it's really part of our culture. And, you know, we all need guidance. I mean, when you think about your first job, I can remember my first job. I didn't have a clue what was going on. And someone must have mentored me, because here I am still working. But that's the, I think the secret sauce is to making sure there's a human connection, to your point, Mark.
Yeah. I was going to add this. I think a sort of a cutting edge need, and there's a lot of work being done in this space: financial education, financial literacy, understanding the financial system is something we've got to try to infuse in more of our youth serving work. The financial system is very complicated. I mean, I remember a few years back, I had a chance to speak to some high school students in Detroit. And of course, every one of them had a telephone. I made each of them go around the room and tell me what they were paying per month for their phone. And the variance was incredible. Many of them finally admitted, you know, when I got so excited about getting a phone, I didn't check on the price. I just saw the shiny phone and the advertising and the convenience of the phone store, and I got this phone, and how did she get such a better plan? The example is to help young people understand that part of getting a job and getting a living wage is learning how to manage your money, understanding what a bank account is, understanding the difference between various financial products. Sometimes it's a boring topic, and one of the things I think the challenge is, how can we make it interesting and alive so that young people understand the financial system? And there's a lot of you who probably do this kind of work. I just have a sense that we don't quite have it right. We don't quite have the best approach to it, but it is so critical today because of the complexity. Financial decisions people make in their life today, they stump people with MBAs and law degrees. This insurance policy, this investment policy, this tax rate, this withholding, how much is this insurance going to cost versus that insurance, and what do I get? And I think mentoring, a mentoring approach gives us an opportunity to deploy those those in banking and financial services who have that expertise to help young people. And this is not only, I think, K through 12 or middle and high, but college students and young adults who may not be in college to understand more of the financial system. I think it's an important element. And I think we all have to be thinking about, as we think about the mentoring model, you know, what are the innovations, what are the evolutions in making it stronger and making it better, and in helping people to become, you know, working people who are responsible citizens engaged in the community.
Right, and I couldn't agree more on the financial education or an understanding your personal finances. And we've spent a lot of time, and I think it's to your point, you know, providing education in the classroom around financial education with no context doesn't really get people where they need to.
They snooze.
So, yes, it's kind of a boring topic. But if you infuse it in a program that's helping you get a job and it's explaining what you do with your first paycheck and what is a, you know, what is Social Security? What is it going to look like when I got $15 an hour, but this looks like I'm getting paid less. Really explaining everything and the importance of savings. I think that's the critical piece to, you know, connect. And that's like mentoring. And actually, we've coined a phrase, it's not technical, but mentoring with a purpose. And that is around our Better Money Habits champions who are mentoring, but also teaching people about their personal finances. There's a connect point. But I agree with you, and the more we can infuse mentoring in all kinds of programs, as well as financial education and the tools that they need. We do have a program called Better Money Habits that's online, and it's a tool. But it's so important, I think, to sort of think about it's getting a job, it's knowing how the financial systems work for your benefit, and it's about having a coach, because it is about sustainable employment, and you know the whole concept of connecting people to opportunities so that they can grow and prosper. And mentoring is such a critical piece of that.
You know, it reminds me, I was a young lawyer and I was just practicing, and somebody I knew called me up and said they were very upset with their employer. They wanted to talk to me because they wanted to file a lawsuit. And they said, well, what do you want to file a lawsuit? He said, well, you know, I got my pay stub. And on the pay stub, they took out money for, and he says, FICA. He says, I didn't agree to that. He says, I object to that. What is that? I said, sir, you're out of luck, right? That's called a forced contribution. He said, well, what does it mean? And, you know, they've taken all this money out of my check for this, that, and the other. And I realized, just didn't know, right? Didn't have an understanding of what it was. And I sort of went through an explanation and said, I can't take your case because you'd lose, right? You can't object to those withholdings. You know, it's taxes, it's Medicare, you know, it's things that, you know, that we all participate in. But it just sometimes, I think, is an indication that we need to bring people along. And I often thought, you know, spend a lot of time in school learning math. We learn calculus, you know, algebra, all these complex things. And what reason why it's sort of abstract and for some students not relevant is because we don't make it relevant. We don't talk about what it means in the real world and how these sorts of things are very relevant to how you live and the money you take home.
And you know, we're kind of short on time. I wish we could continue this conversation for a while. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure people in the room have too. But I'd love to just ask one more question about your partnership and what you've learned through your work locally that maybe we could apply to our work in programs and on a broader scale.
I'll answer. So there's nothing like having absolutely talented and committed people working in your programs. Secondly, you have to have infrastructure. Even if you have a mentoring program that relies on volunteers, it is much more effective and stronger if it is managed by full-time paid professionals. And understanding that model, it works better if you have a facility to operate out of, an infrastructure that you need for sometimes equipment and supplies, right? Maybe it's just T-shirts or it's items you need to accentuate the program. On the ground, it is very, very real. And you need very real infrastructure. You need good people to deploy it. You need facilities and equipment and supplies to be able to do it. And that's why it's important why the support of Bank of America, the support of the federal, state, and local governments, other philanthropies are so critical to making these programs. See, we can add value to an investment of dollars through the commitment of time, volunteers, and people. But we can't let people create a sense that we can do these programs out of air, right? That we can do these programs just, let's do it after I get finished doing everything else at 8 p.m. at night, then we'll do the mentoring program. So we've got to be advocates for how we leverage the commitment of both philanthropic and public dollars to make a difference in the lives of people.
It's hard to add anything to that, but I will say, just on the local piece, I also think mentoring is, there's a skill and there's a best practice. So I do think the training and support of mentors as they're on their journey with their mentee is also critically important. And I think about mentor and the expertise that they put out in the field and that you all utilize. I mean, I think locally, you're not on your own. I do think that, mentorship is a natural human thing, but being really good at it is something you have to hone, and there are practices. And that's why I think convenings like this, what you take back locally is will be so impactful. So congratulations on all that you're doing to make a real difference.
Thank you both so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
Thank you,
sharing
Ellen.
your time and talent with us.
Thank you.
Joining us on stage, Callum Butts, Mentor Board Member and Director of Charitable Operations for AT&T.
I will. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am just waiting for my notes to come up. So once we get that going, then I can go ahead and get started. Unless, is it on me? Okay. Has everybody enjoyed the morning so far? Is it up? I have the clicker, so I can advance it, but I just got to wait for 1 second. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. All right, everybody. Good morning once again. Thank you, and I'm excited to be here once again with such an awesome group of movement builders. And I'm personally honored to be speaking with you as a new Mentor board member. So I just joined the board last year, so I'm excited, doubly excited to be here this time. So at AT&T, we know that there's nothing young people need more than a caring, engaged adult. That's why we've worked so hard to make sure to connect our employees to young people, I call them kids, to provide mentoring and career guidance. Since 2012, more than 260,000 students have received more than 1.5 million, 1.6 million actually, hours of mentoring by AT&T employees. So that equates to, that's impressive, but wait till you hear this. That equates to about 720 people working full-time for a whole year. 720 people. How many of you wouldn't want to have that many people working for you? We've been a long-time supporter of Mentor and the great work that they do to address the mentoring gap in our country. Last year, after several years as a Mentor Summit sponsor, I announced AT&T's investment in the launch of the Summit Initiative, a new Summit initiative called the Summit Fellowship Program. And you're starting to see some of the members pop up on the screen. The Summit Fellowship Program was created as a targeted way to expand access to the Summit by supporting a diverse group of mentoring leaders experiencing the summit, so people from around the country. Last year, we had 9 fellows that participated. The inaugural year was a resounding success, and we're happy to be back with, as a presenting sponsor of the program again. With the help of a few additional funders, we were able to grow this year's cohort to 15 from 9 last year. As you can imagine, there's a lot of interest in the program and selection that goes into that selection process. That said, we have a totally worthy group of fellows sitting here in the front row. Where are they? There they are. There they are. Sitting here in the front row with us today. All were competitively selected based on their experience, leadership potential, demonstrated financial need, and personal commitment to helping young people succeed through quality programming. They truly reflect the diversity of the field. You can learn more about each in the Summit program. I'd like to invite one of the fellows, Michael Marion, coming up to my right, your left, and he's going to share a few words about what this program means to the group. Michael, come on up.
How y'all doing? Well, a good mentor puts himself in the right context, so I'll say it correctly. How are you guys? Kaleem, it's just been an incredible privilege to be here, and on behalf of the fellows, to thank AT&T and yourself for allowing us the privilege to be part of this. In fact, some of us are actually thinking about changing our phone plans.
We can help you with that.
You can help us with that. Okay. On behalf of the fellows, it's just been such a joy to get to talk with each other, and there's a common theme among us, is that change people change people. And so we are changed because of the role of mentors in our life. And I love hearing the stories. In my own story, I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Oh. And when I was just a toddler, I was left on the porch in the hills of East Tennessee, a little place called Snake Holler, to be raised by my grandparents. And if you can imagine, in the 60s, we had just this little 4-room shack and no running water. And my grandparents had never finished elementary school. They were bootleggers by trade. And so I had an interesting childhood growing up. And I was destined for a life of poverty, a life of not having an education, and so forth, until one day, this little lady moved into our holler. This little 5-foot lady, a northerner of all kinds of people. I'm sorry. I have to know my context. An outsider. Okay. And so.
Hey, at least you didn't say a Yankee.
That would have not lasted at all.
Yeah.
Okay. And so she was able to reach into us kids and give us hope and expand a worldview that we could become something more than what we were surrounded by. And she was my mentor. I never thought of her, and we never even heard of her until I grew up. And it's because of her role in my life that 25 years ago, that I was able to start doing what was done for me. Started a program called Rise Up for Kids. And it's about helping kids who come from all kinds of backgrounds to be relationally successful and prepared for the future. And because of her role in my life, I've been able to keep on doing that, to give kids hope. And since then, we've had hundreds and hundreds of kids at Rise Up go on to be successful people and be another version of me in terms of someone dropping their life. And it's all through the role of mentors. We're just a context to create that relationship for them. So I just thank, on behalf of fellows, for AT&T allowing us to do this and to give us more skills to continue changing lives. And we'll discuss that phone plan later, okay?
Okay. That's a deal. Thanks, Michael. So Michael's just one example of the great work of this year's fellows are doing to help young people in our communities. And that was a great story, so thank you for sharing it, Michael. So once again, congratulations to all of you, and thank you all for the work that you do, to the fellows and to everybody else in the room. I also want to highlight one other key project that AT&T supports with Mentor. As a follow-up to the mentoring effect and to reflect AT&T's continued commitment to supporting research that helps all of us deepen our understanding of the landscape of mentoring, AT&T provided support for Mentor to conduct a national survey of adults about their mentoring experiences and their views of importance of mentoring. This is the most in-depth investigation to date of how adults step up for kids to spread the power of relationships. The survey has 4 main objectives, which you will see here on the screen, or there on the screen. They examine adults' mentoring relationships with youth, both within structured programs and their informal relationships. Determine the barriers and motivators that support or limit engagement in mentoring. Measure adults' perceptions of mentoring and benefits of community, youth, and mentors themselves. Assess the role that companies, like AT&T, and other institutions play in facilitating and supporting mentoring experiences. You'll be hearing more about the findings throughout the summit and through the rest of the year. We believe these findings are of interest to a broad audience as we take stock of where we are as a nation meeting the relationships that we need for our young people. I was particularly excited about a few of the early findings from the study, talking about the key driver in the growing mentoring movement. These findings showed that employees of companies who support mentoring in some direct way were 3 times more likely to be a mentor. 3 times more likely, so that's pretty significant, or rather very significant. I can't imagine a better data point for all of us who are seeking to help companies understand the power of their expanding quality mentoring opportunities for young people. We now have data around the direct business benefits of supporting mentoring. The data show that job satisfaction positively correlates with working at a company that offers supporting mentoring opportunities. So for all of you who are trying to get support from companies, make sure to use that data point when you talk to them. The full report with the fascinating findings from the groundbreaking study will be released in the spring. Although, rumor has it, you may have a sneak peek of it in your bags. I look forward to being with you over the next couple of days and talking to many of you about what you're doing in the mentoring opportunity in the mentoring space. And thank you all for doing what you are all doing for this important work. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage Matt Meyerson, Senior Director of External Affairs for Mentor.
Thank you, everybody. I'm excited to introduce 2 people that I've gotten to know very well over the last years. They're 2 leaders who have really made mentoring a key piece of their social responsibility efforts, and our field is really indebted to the work that they have both led. So if you could please join me in welcoming Kathy Behrens and Antoine Andrews to the stage. So Kathy Behrens is President of Social Responsibility and Player Programs for the NBA. She's also one of the highest-ranking women in the history of American sports. Not to be outdone, Antoine Andrews is Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion at Nike and was recently recognized by Mogul as one of the top innovators in the D&I space. So it's really a pleasure to have you both here. Over the next 15 minutes, we'll learn 4 things from these 2 leaders. Why mentoring was chosen as a key social responsibility platform, a quick overview of the work you're already doing, the power of athlete voice to inspire others, and lastly, what's coming next. So I'm going to dive right into the first question. I know our time is tight this morning. There are so many causes. There are so many things in the world that we want to try to change. What made you both choose mentoring as a key social responsibility platform?
Well, I'll start. I mean, I think for us, it's not just about a cause, but it's about partnership. And so for us, mentoring is really at the heart of, I think mentoring is at the heart of sports. Everybody who plays sports has had a coach or another player, in some cases, especially in our league, an older player who has helped them and was a role model for them. So the cause is there, but for us, it's about partnership. It's why we partner with Mentor and with so many other great organizations. It's why we're so happy to be here with all of you who do such great work in your communities. It's why the Nike swoosh is on our uniforms, because we're partners in business. We share the same values. We share the same approach to trying to improve our communities and figure out the right ways to do that. So it's a combination of cause that's important, but for us, I think it's really about partnership.
Fantastic.
It's great. And so thank you, Matt, for having me here and having us here. And Kathy, thank you for being being a strong partner. So we appreciate it. But I think for us, Matt, it comes in a lot of different ways. So what's important is that with our equality campaign, we wanted to make sure that we were really giving our athletes, but also our employees, a voice and a platform to talk about equality in our community. And as you think about mentoring specifically for us, is we have very passionate, we have amazing talented employees who wanted to engage deeper in the community. Mentoring was that component. We created a platform through the partnership with you and Mentor to say, how can we give you access and really allow you to dig in more with your communities? And so that was the reason behind it. I think one thing that's important, Kathy, you'll agree with this, sport, well, it might not be perfect. It's a place where fairness, respect, as well as equality is the rule and not the exception. And so through the lens of sport is where we thought mentoring really dove in what we do.
Perfect. Tell the audience a little about what you're already doing to support the mentoring cause and the mentoring movement.
Well, one of the things that I think we can really do, the sort of power of our brand is the ability to kind of tell stories, the ability to reach people. Our social media following, both for the league and for our players, is an extraordinary community, and it's all over the world. So part of what we really focus on is how can we use that power to tell stories, to amplify the work that's being done by all of you in your communities? How can we let people see a little bit behind the scenes of what it's like to be an NBA player? I think Antoine said it well. Sports sort of is an equal playing field. If you can play, you can play. And so the opportunity to use that platform to share those stories, to give people a sense of what's going on. So much of what we can do is the PSA campaigns that we've done in real life. We're incredibly proud of the stories that we've been able to tell through that. The partnership with Mentor has helped us do that in a way that we think is really interesting and unique. And I'm going to take that cue to show you one of our newest spots that we did with Dikembe Mutombo, who is an NBA legend, Hall of Famer, and our global ambassador. So maybe we can run the video.
Hey, Dikembe, get over here. We all know you can block shots, but you need a signature move to remind everyone that you own the paint.
I don't know. I don't want to hurt their feeling.
Trust me. Tell them no, 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 no.
No, 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 no.
That's it. Give it a try next time you block a shot. You'll thank me later.
No, no, no.
Perfect. That was great.
You don't need to be the NBA legend.
Or have all the time in the world.
To be someone's hero.
Go to mentoring.org and become a mentor in real life.
Can I just say that I've had the good fortune to travel the world with Dikembe. Literally, we've been lots of places. And he has to do this now like 15 times a day. And every time somebody stops him for a selfie or in the airport or anywhere we are, he basically walks around all day just doing that. So funny, the things you can become famous for.
One of the fun things about a partnership is we're prepping and have the TV on last night, watching the NBA game, and this spot comes up on national TV in front of a nationwide audience. This comes up to promote the work that all of you in this room are doing and to encourage more people to get involved and to become mentors. And so I'd love to really pass it to you.
I think what's important here is voices, right? And so I think you saw a little bit about Dikembe and NBA Voices. I think one of the things we wanted to do with our equality campaign, which we launched last year, was really about finding a way to provide voices not only to us as an organization and a company, but to our athletes. And what's important is that equality gave our athletes as well as us a platform to talk about inequality within communities. And so for us, we are continuing that push around equality. One of the things that's important is that we gave our stores and our retail stores an opportunity to talk a little bit more, and we launched the partnership with Mentor and Priest Players back a year ago, saying that it's important for us as an organization to have that voice. What we felt most proud about is when that campaign launched, it got over 24 million views in less than 24 hours, and so worldwide. And so we knew that there was a hunger from that, and I think through the lens of sport, the power of sport, it gave us all a voice to really be able to say, what does equality mean? How do we all stand up for equality? And I think one of the things that's important about all of you and the work that you do, really enlightening folks around mentoring, really preparing mentors, is it's leveling out the playing field. And so kudos to all of you, and want to give all of you a hand for all the great work that you do.
Great, thank you. So you both had the opportunity to work with some of the most high-profile individuals in the world, and obviously much has been made around athletes' expression and use of their opinions for social justice. As you listen and work with athletes, where does mentoring fit in the stories they want to tell as they're working hard to improve our communities?
Well, I think for us what's really important when we are working with our players, and that includes the players in the NBA and the WNBA as well, what's most important is to help them find something that feels genuine and authentic to who they are, to what their journey has been, and to the things that they care about. And as we've both talked about, and I think as you all know because you live it every day, mentoring is a part of everyone's life. I mean, maybe you don't think of it that way, but once you ask a couple of questions, you can get anybody to tell you the story of someone who has mentored them or of someone that they are currently mentoring. So when we talk to our players, we try to find the things that they care most about, and to then help them tell that story and to help them connect to the organizations that are doing the work. I mean, that's our business. That's why I talked before about the importance of partnerships. Our job is to help support the work you all are doing. That to us is sort of at the heart of what we want to do when we talk about all of our community programming and the social responsibility work that our players are involved in. So mentoring, when you talk to our players and you ask them to tell you a few stories of people that mattered to them, you get these incredible, passionate, really moving accounts of people who helped change their life. And for us too, this is part of our history. Bill Russell, the great Bill Russell, was part of the founding of Mentor. So it's a story that's been told again and again and again, and I think that our players respond to it. They obviously have a platform now. I mean, I see Bill a few times a year, and Bill was one of the original sort of athlete activist voices, but the platform was just very different. So now, with a tweet or a post, you can reach millions and millions of people. So our players recognize the power that has, and the opportunity to do good with that is important to them.
Platform is important. For us, our athletes, and many of our athletes are connected to the NBA, and I think that's what makes this partnership so strong between Nike and the NBA. But as I think about us, and our CEO back in July of 2016 sent an open letter to our employees, really reminding our employees of our longstanding history of standing up for those who've been marginalized, but those who've also did not have a voice. If we think back to our ad of Let Me Play back in 1995, really focused on young girls in sport, really being able to create that platform. And one of the pieces that's important is that leveraging our athletes. I think we've all seen over the past year or so, athletes have begun to speak out on injustice as well as the importance of equality. And we continue to double down on that. And we support all athletes that speak out on social issues that are important to us as a country and as a world. And so we continue to really focus in on that. I think what's important, whether it's from LeBron to Serena to Megan Rapinoe, we want to make sure that all of the work that you do, there's a connection point, and mentoring is that connection point. I think Kathy is so right. Everyone has an experience where they want to talk about a mentor. And sometimes those experiences last years, and sometimes those experiences may last 15 minutes, right? And so we want to make sure that we show the spectrum of what mentoring can be and what mentoring is for everyone.
Absolutely. As you talk about Megan Rapinoe, she's someone that, thanks to the Nike relationship, we were able to connect through Athletes for Hope, a national nonprofit helping athletes with their philanthropy. We were able to connect to Megan and get her involved in the mentoring space. And just last week on International Mentoring Day, we launched a new mentoring flip video with Megan Rapinoe, international soccer star and also a real activist in her own right. So I'd love to show this for you as well.
What's wrong, Megan? There's just so much injustice in the world, and I want to do something about it.
You have to take a stand when you see something that just isn't right.
I know, but everybody's always telling athletes just stick to sports.
You're so much more than just an athlete. You have the power to change the world and help so many people.
You really think so?
Yeah, don't worry about what other people think. Just be brave.
I'm gonna make you proud. Thank you so much for believing in me. You don't need all the time in the world.
Or to be an activist and a soccer legend to be someone's hero.
Just go to mentoring.org
and become a mentor.
In real life.
I love the power of athlete voice to tell a story and to get mentoring in front of millions more people than we would have without athletes like Dikembe and like Megan. Lastly, and before we run out of time, just very quickly, if you both could tell us what's coming next as you continue to be a key ally in shrinking the mentoring gap in this country.
Well, you saw on the Dikembe video, and Antoine mentioned it, we just launched this new platform around Martin Luther King weekend called NBA Voices, and just a way for us to not only continue to tell the stories of the things that our players are doing, but to really now start to encourage, as we have over the years, encourage people to become mentors, but also encourage our fans to find their voice and to find a way for them to use that voice for good in their communities. The fight for equality, the fights against injustice. We just think there's another opportunity for us to continue that effort. We're totally focused as well, though, on driving additional signups for Mentor. We think that is incredibly important. It's at the heart of a lot of what we do. So we're going to just try to amplify NBA voices and again, just really raise up the conversation, the respectful, hopefully, conversation that we need to have in our communities to make them stronger and safer and better for everyone.
Love it. Thank you so much.
For us, I think we just launched our equality campaign back on Dr. King MLK Day again. And so it's really doubling down on Mentor as a partnership, but also police players as a way to really showcase the importance of community and showcase why it's there. I think what's important for us is that our athletes and we are asking people to get in the community and serve. Mentoring being a huge component, but I also want to call out being in the community, your local community, and having a point of view, having a voice, but also acting on it. And so you're going to see us really dig in. But I also want to take this opportunity, one is to really say that as I look out in this audience, I was here last year, I think I sat over in that corner over there. I continue to be inspired by all the work that you do. A lot of times you see, and this is, you see athletes and they actually do a great job of bringing voice, but you do the hard work and really making this come to life in the community. So this is a huge thank you to you. I'm inspired every time I'm here. I'm inspired every time I come in contact or have a conversation with you. So continue to fight the fight, continue to do the work. You inspire us, you inspire so many people. So hold on to that inspiration and continue to drive through. So thank you.
I believe I was supposed to close out, but that was beautiful. We'll end right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joining us on stage, David Shapiro, CEO of Mentor.
Come on up for the rising. Come on up and lay your heads in mine.
Good morning. You look a lot better from up here than you did from behind the curtain. And you sound great. We should start like a national mentoring choir. It's pretty unbelievable. I have the privilege of closing us out this morning, which is really just a fancy way, those of you in the audience know, to say that they were leaning on me to make up time if we were behind. But at the summit, we create moments that resonate throughout the year. And for me, they happen when folks seek me out to express sentiments like, I had no idea all these people were out here doing this work. Or I feel less alone and part of something larger than myself. I hope as you look around now and throughout the summit, you feel this sense of fellowship and solidarity. I know I've been holding tight to it this past year. It's left me so looking forward to being with all of you, not only to learn and be inspired, but also to assert our values. The principles that run so deeply through this work are truth that illuminates. Because you shine the light, demonstrating the power of connection, rejecting otherness, rejecting the notion that one person has more value than another, embracing those that risk so much to be here in this great experiment. You light the way for our neighbors as they demonstrate the patriotism of shared destiny, building connections with those for whom the American dream for way too long has felt out of reach. Because of you, I am energized, able to train my ear away from the shouting about what divides us, emboldened to reject false choices, that there is only room for some to succeed. You prove that fixed mindset wrong every day. And at Mentor, we seek to elevate, replicate, and scale your work to keep narrowing the mentoring gap. You represent the best of what we can be, and there's nowhere I'd rather be. With you asserting who we are, who we want to be, what we're for, and how we show up for each other with everything we have. So what do we stand for, and what are we doing about it? We stand for the great intentionality it takes to build a movement. It's shaped, formed by the local communities where it lives and breathes. Mentor affiliates are the fabric of our organization. They inform our work and provide servant leadership to you as you weave the single garment of destiny Dr. King so poetically described. The recent launch of our new affiliates in Maryland and greater Milwaukee will make us that much more effective in fueling the movement. And we are working hard to partner with local leaders to expand to the states where we do not currently have affiliate boots on the ground. We stand for the limitless potential of our young people that don't face an achievement gap, but rather a support and opportunity gap. We stand in that breach through initiatives like Success Mentors, working with schools and districts across the country, building the partnerships to systematically integrate mentoring as a key support service, leveraging a second shift of adults to help young people get to school, get on grade level, navigate their everyday, and persist to higher education. We stand and bring testimony that nobody's journey is a straight line. The real question is just whether there's someone there alongside you as it zigs and zags. We are increasingly working with community partners and employers to rebuild the broken covenant with millions of young people who find themselves disconnected from school and work. As you well know, these efforts must center on two things: boosting them with a network of supportive relationships alongside tangible opportunities as they seek to re-engage with school and thrive in a work environment. We do this by recognizing and amplifying those employers who walk the walk, knowing that engaging in mentoring holds benefits across core stakeholders and can advance their overall strategy. Innovative partnerships with the public sector empower us to improve our ability to stand with our young people. Mentor is proud to operate OJJDP's National Mentoring Resource Center. It builds strong bridges between research and practice and has resulted in customized, locally grounded technical assistance for hundreds of organizations who improved their service just in the last year to 75,000 young people. We stand for the importance of listening to our young people, amplifying their voices, their values, and their stories. Reflected in this year's National Mentoring Month Creative, we focused on the proven impact of mentoring relationships, voiced by those who understand that impact firsthand, young people.
If you mentor me.
If you mentor me.
If you are there for me.
I will miss fewer days of school.
If you mentor me.
If you mentor me.
If you listen. If you mentor me.
I'll be 55% more likely to go to college.
If you mentor me. Mentor me.
If you mentor me.
If you mentor me.
I'll be more likely to volunteer in my community. With a mentor, I'm less likely to start using drugs.
I'll be 81% more likely to play sports. I will be empowered.
I'll have a more equal chance to realize my dream. If you listen.
I will have healthier relationships.
If you mentor me.
Mentor me. If you are there for me. One day, I'll become a mentor too. Become a mentor in real life.
That joy, that little girl, man, if that doesn't get you, I don't know what does. We stand for sharing power with young people, parents, and families, and practicing cultural humility. This is reflected in our growing partnership with My Brother's Keeper as it enters a new chapter in the Obama Foundation. I hope you got a special letter from someone you might know on your seats. I am excited to share that My Brother's Keeper Alliance has chosen two pillars for their work: violence reduction and mentoring. That's worth it. We stand for using evidence and data to improve the quality and quantity of mentoring with all the sophistication and proof that every cutting-edge industry must have. We do that by using emerging research and conducting our own. Leading researchers, Drs. David Dubois and Carla Herrera, are conducting a first-of-its-kind study on the long-term outcomes of mentoring based on participants in a 20-year-old Big Brothers Big Sisters study. Their work will help us to understand the lasting impact of mentoring from youth to adulthood. Preliminary powerful proof, say that 3 times, is emerging. Just one example for youth whose parents had limited formal education. Carla and David find that receiving a year or more of Big Brothers Big Sisters mentoring was linked to greater likelihood that those young people participated in post-secondary education. This study and others promise powerful return on investment data that will help us make the case. And as Kellen mentioned earlier, and as you'll see throughout the conference and later on in a lunch session, Mentor has new research on the power of relationships. The findings from the largest ever survey on adult views, participation, and investment in mentoring. Survey results offer much to inform and support our efforts, from Americans' overwhelming support for public investment in mentoring to the vast majority of Americans who say they would mentor. And more proof of our progress: with each passing decade, adults reflect on being more likely to have had mentors in their lives as a child. And finally, we stand for calling our fellow citizens together to make the youngest and most vulnerable a priority, driving investment of time, money, and building policy that will fuel expanded quality mentoring and strengthen communities. Thanks to the hundreds of you who went to more than 300 congressional appointments to make this clear yesterday. It is your voices throughout the year that helped us get the Child Protection Improvement Act passed in the House and the Senate for the first time ever. And it is your continued voices that will get it over the finish line and help us in the fight for continued federal funding. As I close, and as you can see, There is a lot we stand for, and that can lead to wobbly and tired legs and overwhelmed hearts. But I hope that here together, you find your second wind in each other, in the movement, in the quest for continuous improvement. And at the end of the day, it all comes back to the resilience, the reality, and the possibility of young people. As I have become immersed in the spin cycle of recent political headlines and rhetoric and found myself wondering how we get out of it, I reflect on the truth in the last 6 months in the life of my mentee of 8 years, Keontae. The tragedy of losing 2 friends to gun violence, seeing his brother arrested, and losing his grandmother who raised him. And the triumphs of battling to successfully graduate high school and starting technical college 2 weeks ago. Somewhere at the Ben Franklin Institute of Technology, he's smiling. I hope that's where he is right now. I'll text him afterwards to confirm. I am inspired by him and the privilege I have to walk alongside him. He empowers me to refocus on his reality and the path he is courageously carving. This is the calling of our work, the illuminating truth, and it is calling upon us now more than ever. Love, common humanity, relationship, empathy, and empowering voice. We call people and institutions together every day to build stronger bridges of understanding and opportunity. And as long as we're doing with you, I have every confidence we will keep marching on. Thank you all so much.